Hello, hello, friends. Welcome back to another great episode of Girl, Why Not You? I'm your host, Jennie Blackwood, and today we're talking about something that almost every ambitious woman experiences at some point. Rejection. A setback, a moment that feels unfair, a door closing when you thought you were doing everything right. Can you guys relate to that? But what if that very moment is actually redirection? Today's guest was actually fired at 27 years old. No investors, no safety net, no grand entrepreneurial master plan, just grit. And former clients who believed in her enough to mail her checks and say, start your own company. More than 2 decades later, she's built a thriving PR agency, written a book on mentorship, and hosts over 1,000 microcast episodes helping professionals communicate and lead more effectively. Amy Summers, I am so glad you're with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I can't wait to just dive in. You have got a story worth telling, my friend. I think one of the biggest things that, hit me, especially with your past and in this intro, is that you were fired at 27. And really what you did after that is so inspirational to so many. So I want to ask you a little bit about that if you're open to it.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So you've said being fired at 27 is ultimately what led you into entrepreneurship. So let's talk about what that felt like in real time. I always like to tell people up front how awesome you are, but then reel it all the way back into, let's go back to 27-year-old Amy. What were you doing? What happened? Where did you go from there?
Well, first, I just want to say I absolutely loved and admired my boss. I considered her a mentor. It was my first real PR agency job after college. I had a couple other jobs I had done, but this was I felt like, okay, they were small, but because we were so small, she really allowed me to do so many things and gave me a ton of responsibility. And I'm forever indebted to her for all of that because I really learned so much of the practical part of my, career from her. Not just being book smart about it, but really understanding how to work with clients, how to get people on TV and podcasts and radio and all the things that we were doing and in magazines. And I learned a ton from her. And I would have stayed with her forever. She had me running the other employees and she had me, going on client trips by myself, solo and handling all kinds of things. And, I'm not really sure what happened. Something happened behind the scenes, obviously above my pay grade that I wasn't involved with, but they had some policy changes. These policy changes were not in line with my values. And, I went to her and I leveled with her. I said, I can't stay here. And I actually resigned. I actually resigned first, but then she, begged me to stay and said, and mainly was because I was responsible for so many things that they didn't really know what was going on. And I took her at her word because I trusted her. Sure. And I trusted her and she, they promised all kinds of things, her and her business partner, 6 months severance and just don't tell the other employees you're leaving. And, we will take care of you. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Well, that didn't happen. They did end up firing me because on some kind of technicality, something silly. They basically just wanted to get all the information they needed from me, and then they swiftly kicked me to the curb, literally.
So corporate. That is just
very
so
dramatic.
Yes.
So corporate, and they were just a small company, and they weren't even a big corporation or anything, but it felt like that.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because that's what stuck with me about our whole relationship, and it shouldn't have been that way. I mean, there could have been a much smoother transition. I had not planned on not having a job and I was not treated well at all. Now, in retrospect, it's kind of funny because I think I was getting $26,000 a year. I mean, it wasn't like a big salary or anything, but I was, very upset about it. I know. And I had a hard time finding another job at the time. Just the climate for the job search was terrible at that time. We were at war with Iraq and a lot of things were going on. And so like you said in the intro, I had a few clients that said, hey, just please continue to work with us. We're going to put a check in the mail, which, I mean, people don't even put checks in the mail anymore. and you can just buy a phone and computer and just keep working for us. And so that is really how my company, Pitch Publicity, got its start. It's a few people that believed in me, and I didn't even build a website or do anything like for the first 6 months because I thought, well, this isn't going to last.
Right.
But it did. And then I found myself in a position where I had to build a company, which means, you know, I had a lot of clients and I had to get some help. And, you know, no one ever really thinks about the managing people part of the job when they start out as an entrepreneur. They think about some great service they want to provide or a product that they want to put out there, but you got to hire people. And I think that those are some of the lessons I learned along the way. And in my book, Lift, that's what I really talk about as to how to manage people in a way that makes them want to work for you and that helps you succeed too.
That is so true and very relatable. Like as you were describing this boss that you loved and you idolized, and great news is you learned a lot, right? That was helping set you up for your future. But it is so disheartening when you put in so much time and effort. And back then, like you said, you were making $26,000 a year. But I bet you were like, I've worked in PR myself, so I know what a grind it is. I know how around the clock it is. And especially with all the different clients you had and the different job functions that were on your plate, you were doing a lot for somebody who really you found out at the end of the day was going to cut you loose like you never mattered. And I think that that is something very relatable for a lot of people and a sad story that we can tell. You know, I mean, I've been there. I know many other people have been there. Mm-hmm. And so I applaud you for the way that you chose to handle it, because I think a lot of people, you know, would have been disgruntled and, you know, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? But gosh, girl, you made the choice to do big things for yourself. So that had to be a real confidence booster for you when you exit. You know, it's been an ugly, messy exit. And all of a sudden you have these people who you realize it wasn't the company they loved. It was you. And you had to have been like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Even though I'm sure, were you dealing with some self-doubt around it at the time? Was it scary?
Well, I think it's always scary because I think the idea of having to be responsible for your own livelihood is always scary, but it also makes you work harder.
Yes.
So when people ask me about like, should I go out on my own? I'm like, look, it's not going to be easy work. I mean, it's not, you know, the life of the entrepreneur, the business owner, it's not like we're waking up at 10 a.m. and, you know, taking off at 3. And
right.
You don't get those luxuries. I can't even remember the last time I had an actual vacation where I didn't have to check in. I mean, if you're going to work for yourself, you're working all the time. But the trade-off is that you can work as hard as you want, and you're going to make the money. You're going to make all those decisions, and you're going to make all the choices. And that's powerful. And
it's so powerful.
And when I look back, it's like, this was a huge blessing in disguise for me.
Yes.
Especially as a female, you know, getting started that early in the field that I was in at the time. Had I stayed on the PR agency track and even maybe gone left and worked for a bigger PR agency or whatever, I still would not be where I am today. And,
for sure.
You know, some people my age went on that track, and yes, maybe they have the big VP titles and they're working at the big fancy companies, but, you know, I can, you know, have a lot of advantages myself and a lot of flexibility myself and kind of do things the way I want to do it, work with the clients I want to work with and the people I want to work with. And to me, that is highly valuable.
Well, you technically are all the titles now. You're the CEO, the COO, all this. I mean, you know, when we own our own business.
The dog walker, the person that takes the trash out. I do it all.
All of it. You're doing all of it. You wear many hats. But I get what you're saying, you know, and it is such a hard thing because I watch other people, and I don't want to diminish this at all. That's not what I'm saying. I watch a lot of people who spend their whole life climbing a ladder, but then it doesn't really seem like they're ever truly fulfilled. Even though you get the fancy title and you get the corner office, you know, all of those things, it's like, well, for what? You earned a paycheck. You had a boss your whole life. And again, like some people are happy with that, and that is great. But I think for someone like you who knew, you know what? It is this moment in my life that I am realizing to choose me, and I'm not going to let this happen to me again. That's powerful. And that's kind of like a control thing that you get when you're an entrepreneur. You're a lot more in control, even though there are a lot of things, as we know, in business that don't always stay within the realm that we're hoping. I mean, it's a up and down all the time. We know that as business owners, but good for you. So you make this exit, you're immediately getting paid. You're like, oh my gosh, when I've thought about entrepreneurship, I thought it would take years to be profitable. And it sounds like you were like, boom, I'm in business. Let's go. How did it evolve from there?
Well, it's always easy to look back. And when you look back, it seems like it happens a lot quicker than it did.
Yeah.
I started out with about 5 clients. So I was fortunate in that regard because I was coming fresh off of working with them. And then really the whole business was built on referrals, after
Huge.
that. And I had to learn early on, how many clients can I handle without making everyone upset? Like there were a lot of things I had to figure out, did I want to scale? At one point I was told, oh, you need to scale up and be medium size and large size. Otherwise you're not successful. And I discovered, well, that's not really success for me. Like I like staying small. I like being hands-on with my clients and my team. And so you just have to kind of make these decisions along the way about, what works best for you. And I think I have found my rhythm with my company, and everyone's rhythm is going to be a little bit different. But, you define your own success. You decide what success means to you.
So let's dig in that a little bit, because you talk a lot about making success happen. So for people listening, they may be trying to guess what that means, but what does that mean to you?
Well, I know you like to be raw and gritty on this show, so I'll tell you what it really means.
Let it fly, sister. Let it fly.
So MSH, I have a whole chapter in my book about this. It's touchpoint 6. It's called Delegate MSH Style, but MSH has been my rallying call, and I talk about this in the book. And it's basically make shit happen.
Yes,
now,
girl.
if we're public and we're around people that we want to be more polite, we can say make success happen. I love that too. But honestly, yes, just make shit happen. Like make it happen, and it's just my way of saying, figure it out. And whether that's figure it out for me, I don't know how to do something, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to rise above. Or I'm going to toss it to somebody. Actually, just right before I got on this podcast with you, I tossed something to one of my team members. I said, I don't have time to do this. I got to get on a podcast. You're going to make it happen.
Make shit happen.
Yes, just go. And when I get off this podcast, it better be done because we're behind. But it's such a confidence booster to allow somebody to have the opportunity to figure something out on their own. And I think that is a skill set that not a lot of people get to exercise, especially younger people these days, where everything's figured out for them. Yeah. And they don't have to be thrown into that, like, oh my gosh, what if this doesn't work? Or, I can't make it happen, and they got to figure it out. So I love those MSH moments because they're the fastest accelerator for confidence. And, it really shows you that you can do it.
It's so true. You know what I'm picturing? I'm envisioning coming out to New York to visit you and us strolling through the streets of New York with hats that say make shit happen on it. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I love that you say that. It was
almost the title of the book, but I thought, if I put shit on the front of my book, I'm going to really limit my audience. But so I just made it a chapter in the book. So it is in the book.
It's a powerful message.
I really wanted it on the cover, but, probably a good idea that I didn't.
I love it. I love hearing that from a PR person. She really has to second guess herself, that's they say, but it makes sense. And I am all about that too. I mean, it's funny. I joke around with another 3-letter acronym, GSD. Get shit done. So now I'm going to use yours as well. But I totally hear you. And it's true. Everybody listening to this, you're going to make shit happen this week. Do it for me and Amy, if nothing else. So, okay, I want to talk about PR a little bit, because I don't know if people who've never lived in a PR world truly understand what PR is. So I also think there's a big misconception about PR and like it's spinning things and whatnot. So can you give us like a little elevator speech of what is PR?
Yes. And thank you for this. I also give a little PR lesson in my book because there is a lot of confusion about PR. I think a lot of times we'll hear on the news, like this company or this person has a PR problem. And I'm like, no, they don't have a PR problem. Maybe they have an ethical issue that PR needs to solve, but their problem is not PR. So PR is public relations. It's how you relate to the public. So whether that is your customer, your client, internally, it can be your team, but it's all about how are you doing good for others and in the community. And so every company should have a PR department. Yeah. Sometimes they get swept into marketing. It's really not marketing. Now, we work hand in hand with marketing. Marketing is more about selling.
Right.
But public relations is about doing good in the world, doing good for your community, doing good for people. Do good, and then you talk about it. You know, we don't go out there and say we're great and then don't have anything to back it up. So it's really looking at like, how can I make my community better? And how can I help the people around me?
I love that message. And you're so right. From the time that I worked in PR, I loved it. I loved it so much more than marketing. I do think it's about just your story, and it was fun. Like I would get a real rush out of like working for clients and getting them different media segments and different things that we would do, that it just felt cool to watch, you know, what we could do to help a brand evolve or a person evolve. And I love what you're doing so much. So give us an idea, like pick a client of yours, you know, give us like a story or something that you've done recently for a client, just to like really paint the picture.
Sure. So, I mean, once I had this client, it was a team of Army, a mix of like Army soldiers and veterans that decided to climb Mount Everest.
Oh my gosh.
And they came to me and they're like, we want you to promote this because we have an amputee that's going to climb with us, and this has never been done before.
Wow.
And I was like, oh wow, single leg amputee, Army vet. And I got these Army soldiers, men and women, climbing Mount Everest. I'm like, this is going to be easy.
Bingo.
I'm just going to like, they're climbing Mount Everest. How cool is that? It's not going to be a problem at all. Of course, never having represented anybody that had climbed Mount Everest, I guess I didn't know that a ton of people climb Mount Everest every single year. So it just turned out, I don't know how this happened, but like there was some other single leg amputee that was climbing that year, and like suddenly we're like in some kind of competition in media with like whose story's going to get out. So my job is really, my job is really to make sure that my client's story got told. You know, how was it unique? What was different about it? Yeah. And oh, by the way, Mount Everest is really dangerous. So didn't think about that either. So on the way down, they actually got all split up and they lost each other. And I was up 24 hours that night just trying to track them.
Oh my gosh.
Worried that we would have a different type of news story in the morning. I hadn't even thought about that. Like, okay, yeah, they got up there, but the descent down from Mount Everest is super dangerous.
Totally.
But I managed, you know, my team and we managed the whole story and getting it out to the media and helping them tell the story. And it was really, you know, the story they wanted to get out was that, you know, for veterans, you know, who might have PTSD, you know, like doing something challenging like this was really beneficial. And they wanted to prove that and be the first. And it ended up they were the first. They were the ones that were first up there. They got their story told.
Because they made shit happen.
Yeah. So, you know, that's an example, but there's so many more. I mean, you know, that's an exciting one, but I also have companies that come to me with like really technical, sciencey, you know, ingredients or products, and they are so excited about it and they want to help people get healthier, but they don't know how to explain ashwagandha to somebody. And I've had to help them figure out what the storyline is and how to get the media interested in sharing the health benefits of something like ashwagandha and why people might be interested in it. So I also like those two that may seem a little bit more, you know, boring or not as exciting. They are fun for me because I love working with really intelligent people that are so passionate about what they're doing, but maybe they just don't know how to explain it to someone who's just a man on the street person. Like, how do you explain it simply?
Wow. That is so cool. Like such different spectrums, right, when it comes to clients. But I'm so glad that the Mount Everest story ended up being so positive. I'm sure you were sweating bullets for a minute there, but you did great. So you have actually done a lot with helping mentor others too, right? I would like to have you share with that because I think that For you being like a woman in business who is like helping others rise, helping other people find their place in this crazy world, right, when it comes to business, what has that looked like for you?
Well, I think as far as mentorship goes, we have a pretty big mentorship program at Pitch Publicity. So all of our team is college students. So I have a big internship program here. I one-on-one mentor each and every college student that comes through. And we are basically run by myself and a bunch of college students. I didn't share this information with my clients in the early years because I was afraid that they wouldn't hire me. But it's just really proof that like if you really pour yourself into somebody, no matter what their education level is or what stage they are, you can, really produce quality talent, help develop talent, and help someone succeed. And so that's what I've proven in the 2+ decades of running my business that can be done. Now, it's not the ideal business model for everyone to have a bunch of college students running your company, but I kind of look at it like, well, this was a big, case study / science experiment here at Pitch Publicity that just shows that even before these young people were even out of college or even had a degree, they were doing quite amazing things and landing stuff like major national TV for clients and, really impressive stuff. So mentorship to me is all about pouring yourself into somebody else, showing them the ropes, having their back, being there when things don't work out, helping them readjust, just helping them think on their feet and learn how to strategize, that critical thinking, all those things that I think that is impossible to learn in school. I mean, you're just not going to get all the scenarios. Many times, my college interns, they'll have a media journalist, like slam the phone in their ear and be rejected. And so I'm right there with them. Okay, let's see what happened. Let's walk it through. How could we, handle that in the future? So it's always handling conflict or overcoming objections and all of these really soft skills that you just don't learn in school. So mentorship is about, not just giving people access and being supportive, but it's also helping them along their journey and helping them rise quicker than they could do on their own.
Can I just say thank you? Like, thank you for doing that. That is incredible. I mean, it's like, I remember being a communications major at Long Beach State, and I was like so lost. I had no idea. And it really just takes that one person in your life that can change your entire trajectory of where you're going to go. So you being willing, that's how I'm looking at it. It's probably sometimes more of a headache for you, but you being willing to take on these mentees, to train them, to give them real life experience while they're still in college is freaking game changing. I mean, when I think about lost sad me in college, I go, but when I think about people out there like you and I think about my babies and when they're at that point in their life, how grateful I would be to have someone like you training them for what they want to be and what they want to do. I mean, there's so much, and I could get on a soapbox about this, but there's so much in school that is such a waste of time. And honestly, money with the crazy tuition prices. But what you're providing is invaluable experience to people. And I can't even imagine how many lives you've changed doing that. So really, kudos to you for that. I would like to dig into your book. Can you tell us? She is a first-time author, everybody. This is something she never thought she would do, but here she is, taking things to the next level. And I'm very excited for you to share with us.
Thank you. Well, a lot of the book, the reason I wrote the book was not to write a book or not to get attention for me or my company. I'm plenty busy enough. But really was the thing that you just touched on was how do we make more mentorship just a typical day? Let's not make it a thing. So we've kind of turned mentorship into a program or a title, or you have to have a mentor. It's very intimidating, all of it. And when I look back at my career and how I've helped, 50 plus people launch their careers, I look at that and I say, okay, sometimes it's a heavy lift, right? Because you're really helping like these interns from college, but sometimes it's not such a heavy lift. Sometimes it's just, I opened a door for someone, or I had a girlfriend that got fired and didn't know what to do yet. So on a weekend, we figured out her whole business plan together by brainstorming. And then she was off on her own and everything was great. So it's in the book, I address how mentorship can be a seamless part of your leadership style, whatever your leadership style is, and that there are just touch points, and I give touch points in the book of things that you can do throughout your day that will help elevate others. And so whether that's your own team members, whether that's your friends and family, your own children, certainly as parents, we are mentors, we certainly should be mentors, but we're mentoring all the time. And I tell people that whether or not you claim the title mentor, you are mentoring. For better or for worse, somebody is always watching you, and they're either modeling your good behavior and your successful behavior, or they're modeling your not so great behavior. So you're always being watched. And if you're a parent out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because kids say the darndest things, but they also say exactly what their parents do and say. So they're a reflection of that. But so is your team as well. If you're a devil wears Prada type of boss, if that's what you're putting out there, then the rest of your team is going to be like that. And that's how they're going to treat everybody beneath them too. So we really have a lot of power to change the climate and the environment that we're in, whether that's at home or at work, just by the way that we're leading and we're modeling and basically mentoring. And so that's what I wanted to show in the book. And it's just a reminder, not only to me, because the book is a great reminder to me, like this is the best of, when Amy is showing up as her best, this is the best of, which I don't always show up at my best. So I have to go read own book over again. But it's just little reminders of, hey, these are little things that you can do, little touch points that definitely make a difference in someone's life.
Well, like, how powerful is that? Seriously, the fact that you're dedicating such a big portion of your life to helping others achieve greatness too. Like, I'm giving you all the snaps, girl. I really just find people like you fascinating, because I think so many of us just get so caught up in our own bubble that we're not even thinking about how we can help other people. And the fact that really, truly your life's purpose, a big portion of that is dedicated to helping shape other people. Wow. I am very excited about your book. I believe in mentorship. I believe that you're right. All it takes is you setting a good example. Even if we go back to your boss that you originally were talking about, I know things ended badly, but it seems like there was a lot about her that was good, that you learned how to live with those good traits. But then also it seems like you learned a lot of maybe what you didn't want to do at the same time.
And that's the other thing too. And I address that in the book. I mentioned several times in the book the great things that she did that I learned from her that I have now replicated when I am training others or teaching others how to do things. And there's some things that I learned that were not so good from her, but I learned from that too. And I think the point is that when you're in a situation where maybe you don't have the best leadership, first of all, you should recognize that and not just automatically default to duplicate it. So if it doesn't feel good the way someone's treating you, let's not transfer that to the next person. Recognize it, address it, so it takes a lot of gumption to tell someone, hey, this makes me feel this way when you talk to me this way. Is there another way we can work it out? I always recommend that, because you just never know. Someone may be acting a way towards you and not even realize it. And who has ever pointed that out to them? I've had people point it out to me before, and it's really helpful. So it takes a brave person to do that.
Yeah.
But it also sets a standard too. It lets them know, hey, I'm not comfortable in this situation. I don't like being talked to like that. Is there another way that we can communicate that might be better with my communication style, and share what that is? So I think all of those things are really important.
Yeah, a lot of growth happening within us, within the people around us, all the time. We're human. We're constantly trying to figure it out, right? So I think what you're doing is amazing. So for someone listening who wants to grow in their own leadership or find mentorship, like, what would you say is the best next step?
Well, I would say definitely get a copy of my book. I think it'll help inspire you, if not nothing else, to motivate you. And you can get a copy at lifttolead.com. There's all the different ways you can get a copy. But I think the next best step is really simple, but it's also very hard. And that is just open your eyes and start looking around. Who is a few steps ahead of you that you just think, wow, she's doing great things, or he's doing great things. I wish I could be there in 3 or 5 years or whatever it is. And then what I want you to do is do not sit back and wait for someone to come along and say, hi, can I mentor you? Because it's probably not going to happen. I want you to be brave enough to go to that person and say, hey, I really admire what you're doing. I'd love to learn more from you. Is there any way that I can support you? Can I help you out? If you offer help to someone else that you admire, chances are they're going to take you up on it. Yeah. And before you know it, you're going to be being mentored by them. They won't even know they're mentoring you. So offer help, offer to help out somebody, offer to help. Hey, can I work out with you? Can I do a study break with you? Whatever it is, if there's somebody that you just think, wow, that person is who and where I want to be in a few years, start hanging out with them. You are going to be like whoever is in your inner circle. So if there are some people that are in your circle that are not treating you right or are not treating others right, push them out. They need to go to the outer circle. And you got to make room. You got to make room to surround yourself with people that, are really going to elevate you.
That is so true. You're making me think of like something. I feel like it was my dad that used to say this. He'd be like, listen, you got to get the old jalopy out of the garage so you could bring in the Ferrari, but otherwise it's just taking up space, So I'm like, okay, I always picture that. I'm like, I need to make room for the Ferrari. And you're right. So Amy, you actually have a free virtual mentorship platform that people can utilize, right?
I do. It's called Inicvox. So INICVOX. And, it's a great place to go to get some free mentorship. So I have a lot of my microcasts on there, just very short, 3-minute. Every day I give like a communications tip to help someone. You get Amy in your ear a little bit, but we also have longer form, seminar series that we've done on topics like sexism and racism, where we've brought together a lot of professionals to talk about these really, taboo topics, if you will, that can really help people grow. And we have some shorter form Skillshare sessions too that are 45 minutes in length that just focus in on like how to do a virtual interview better or, how to ask for promotion, those types of things. Wow. So I wanted to offer that because at some point I was like, okay, I can only have so many interns, and people were lining up to like work with me. And I was like, I'm going to just start recording stuff and make it virtual so that people can have access to it whenever they need a boost. And I wanted to do that just to show that, mentorship can be, shared in so many ways, and we have all the technology to do it. And it's all there. So if you ever need a boost in the middle of the night and can't call me, you can go to inicvox.com, INICIVOX. Mm-hmm. I
will link that in the show notes so everybody has it. So obviously our first step is we're all going to run out. We're going to buy Amy's book, Lift. That's where we're starting at. We're also going to get onto that free virtual mentorship platform, Inicvox. But then I also would like to encourage everybody to follow Amy on Instagram at Amy Summers NYC. This is the type of woman who we all should strive to be a little more like. And I think that her tips and her tricks and just following along her journey could be really valuable for all of us. So I can say that. And Amy, I also, you've really gotten my head spinning today on all the PR I probably need to bring into my life. So I'd love to chat with you about that offline. But I am so grateful for you being here today. You are an inspiration, my friend, and your message is powerful. So thank you for sharing it with the Girl, Why Not You listeners today.
Well, thank you so much. And girl, why not you?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, everybody. Again, I'm going to tell you this every episode. Go look in the mirror. I swear today, you better look and you better say, girl, why not you? Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. If something in this episode made you sit up a little straighter or dream a little bigger, don't ignore it. That's your future nudging you. I'm living proof that you can start messy, start scared, start in the worst timing, and still create something beautiful. Thank you for listening to Girl, Why Not You? Now go take one small step towards the life you've been craving. Hit subscribe, leave a review if you feel called, and share this with someone who's ready for more.